As you might already know, my relationship with the Traveler's Notebook started back in 2008. I still vividly remember when I stumbled upon the T&E Brown at Itoya stationery store in Ginza in Tokyo. It was love at first sight, and since then my T&E Brown has accompanied my journey of Baum-kuchen, motherhood, and life, sometimes as a personal TN in my bag, and other times as a case study sample at the BK shop. When we traveled as a family, I usually only took one notebook with me, and the T&E Brown was often my go-to notebook that I grabbed. When we opened our brick-and-mortar shop in 2013, our customers frequently asked if they could purchase the T&E Brown as is, with all the patina. Some people called my T&E Brown the Indiana Jones leather notebook because the way it aged with textures and colors reminded them of the one in the movie. My T&E Brown was also the first T&E sample put under the sewing machine when we were testing out the concept of BK Truly Yours service. We shipped it to the TSO workshop in Japan, and the TSO team installed leather pockets and bracelet rivets on the cover, and then sent it back to us. So my TN has been through a lot over more than a decade of hanging out with me. However, in the last few years, I wasn't as gravitated to pick up my T&E Brown as I used to be. I couldn't quite figure out what was going on, so I just took another notebook like the T&E Camel and Roterfaden cover with me. I liked them too, but it just wasn't the same. But I followed my gut feeling and left the T&E Brown at the studio. During the summer of 2021, we decided to pause the T&E customization service for a while as Frida would start training with the TSL team. So I went into the studio, organized all of our customized samples, and picked up my personal T&E Brown in my hand. And I'm not kidding when I say this, but I really heard it, the cover, T&E cover, said to me, "Please take all the pockets and patches off me. I'm ready to start fresh." So that's what I did. I asked Frida to remove all the pockets, rivets, and previously sewn patches, and he gave me back the T&E Brown completely stripped off. He even removed the acrylic paint I added a few years ago. Embossing designs that were previously added were already faded away, so the cover was really bare. Stitching lines left steady needle-sized holes along the edge, and the most visible marks that was left were 4 perfectly circular holes on each corner, resulting from bracelet rivets installed. And I looked at my T&E Brown and just sighed deeply. It felt at home, and I felt at home. Since then, I have spent every day with it, and it's my wallet, it's master family planner, and my on-the-go journal. And yet for the last 6 months, as much as I have spent time looking inside of my notebook spreads, writing, taking notes, jotting down, my eyes often have gone to my leather cover. The more I marveled at all the scars, wrinkles, and blemishes on the surface of the cover, the more I felt that the relationship takes both parties to be involved. When I stopped picking up my T&E Brown a few years ago, was that me who didn't feel gravitated to the cover? Or was it the cover that didn't feel gravitated to me? Perhaps the cover wanted to take a break from me. Or maybe it just didn't want to go to a particular destination with me when I traveled. Is it always true that we, as a person who chooses to purchase the item, always take the position of the owner? And at the end, who owns who? Is it possible that our journal cover or other artifacts that we hold closely owns us as much as we think we own them? It also made me wonder, does leather as a material carry on the spirit and soul of the original animal that, when it gets labeled as leather from a hide? I know I often had felt the soul or spirit of the artifact when I interacted with bags or other artifacts made by TSL. I always thought the craftsmanship of the TSL and the people behind TSL embedded such power to radiate the feeling. But perhaps it was more than just that. Could it be that it was also the spirit of the material that radiates the sense of the soul? Of course, these questions are intangible and I don't have a way to prove it, if they're true or not. But since T&E Brown returned to my life, it has been the lens I see all of the artifacts we share at Baum-kuchen. It's like once I start seeing the world in that way, I can't go back. Along the way, I added a new patch of a California poppy on the front cover of my T&E Brown as my commitment to grow and learn more about indigenous plants. I also embossed my mantra, live fully, love deeply, dream wildly, on the front cover when my dear friend experienced an unexpected loss in the family. It's positioned in the location where my thumb always goes when I pick up my TN. But before I added any of these new changes, I checked in with my TN to make sure if that felt okay. And so as our tandem journey goes on, I hope I will live up to be the good friend and companion which my T&E Brown deserves. And I want to make sure that the journey of this beautiful leather with its unique soul continues beyond my hand. And as far as BK Truly Your Service, Frido is training diligently and we hope to be able to share the service in the very near future.